From Godfather 2 to Garfield 2. Let's talk us some cinema, because I gotta use this film degree somehow. In the spring of 1964, Arthur C. Clarke got a message from Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, that's Stanley Kubrick. Saying, hey, let's make a proverbial good science fiction movie. Before Star Trek, before Star Wars, this is the ultimate sci-fi. This is a cinematic mystery. It's infinity, and it will elude people until the end of time. Hopefully. Please don't stop watching this film. This film is so good that it predicted the future. Yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey actually is so old in 1968 that it predated the moon landing itself. 2001 is a movie about infinity, progress, AI, but most of all, us.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
A couple years ago, I got the privilege of seeing this on the big screen. Thank you, BFI. And that is the way to watch this visual spectacle. It's hard to believe it came out in the 60s. Visual effects more impressive than Star Wars. It's definitely better than YouTube. By the way, you can watch 2001: A Space Odyssey on YouTube. A cultural artifact right there. A milestone of human culture. Make sure to give it a thumbs up. But despite being 50 years old, this film was packed. 2001 is art. A subtle, overarching, surreal, all-encompassing art. Now, let's just make it clear, I have not cracked this movie. No one ever will. Here's just some unique notes I made. Enjoy. Now, where would one start with themes for a film about God, death, machines, evolution, mortality? Monkey men! This is a film that poses a lot of questions and holds very few answers. This is fitting, as the main mystery of the film lies within this black monolith. Always present, never explained, never answered. Yeah, the onboard navigator Hal might be the most iconic thing from it, but he's actually not the primary antagonist. His role in events is seemingly minor, and he's actually a lot more human than all of the humans around him. In just one scene, Hal shows jealousy, fear, paranoia, and actually begs not to be put to sleep. And I know he's AI, and we've been trained in this post-theory, post-Ultron world to distrust it, but I have a hard time seeing it as a villain. Kubrick actually is known for his dehumanizing characters. It seems that in the far, far future of 2001, we've become so divorced from our animal instincts, and we ourselves are cold, unfeeling machines. But that's just one character, and this film is beyond any single character. The fear of the unknown is the main character in this film. It's the most present theme, the incomprehensible mysteries of this world that we couldn't possibly comprehend. The Stargate sequence is so devoid of details or explanation that many critics feel inclined to ignore it, as if it didn't just happen, as if we didn't just explore a 10-minute trip. This is a mistake. So, with perhaps the most ambiguous ending in all movie history, we are included and reminded as an audience about our own futility to forces we can't control. And if you're looking for answers, don't hold up. Kubrick himself says you're free to speculate as you wish about the philosophical and allegorical meaning of the film, and such speculation is one indication that I have succeeded in gripping the audience at a deep level. But I don't want to spell out a verbal roadmap for 2001 that every viewer will feel obligated to pursue, or else fear he's missed the point. Thanks, Cubes! Nice little reminder that the author does not matter, and the original intent is bankrupt. Every text, every movie, every book only has as much meaning as the individual reader imbues in it. 2001 does have a plot, it's just not a very conventional one. The story is of mankind, and that sounds just as grandiose and pretentious as it was probably meant to be. So there isn't a plot that you follow, there isn't a themes to grapple with, per se. 2001 almost verges into art film and the avant-garde just by a film that you feel. You understand it by sensation rather than comprehension. What do I mean by this? Well, at the end of the film, the last image shown is a space baby. I hate the space baby. Never established, never explained, get used to that with this movie. The image is completely yours. Kubrick was a notorious perfectionist, almost to a maddening degree, collecting hundreds of versions of the same shot, and always ensuring that he's on the front lines of cutting-edge filmmaking. With his reputation, I refuse to believe that anything here is there just because. To me, the monolith represents progress. It itself is literally infinity. Its contact with the apes is what promoted tool usage. Something that got the apes into space and becoming little star babies. No, seriously, explain that. This film is so open to debate that it's actually been often argued that the black monoliths, whatever they are actually interfering in events and making the progress happen. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Maybe that's taking the plot almost a little too literally. It's very easy to look down on the Monkey Men and the Dawn of Man period of the film. Look at those savages. And look at that cheetah. That was a real cheetah. They had tranquilizer darts and everything. The 60s was fucking crazy. But you won't be laughing at them for long, because the same thing happens to modern day humanity. Dave ascends into the next level of existence. Maybe even godhood. And yes, the chances that Kubrick just insinuated that you can transcend your mortal body via science is a fun little atheist twist. But although it may seem incomprehensible and surrealist nonsense, it's actually kind of evident what's happening here. All at once, Dave is learning new senses, alien worlds, being met by beings that seem to be made of light or in shapes. The basic story is, the bottom line, mankind is evolving, and each landmark moment in their evolution has been watched and encouraged by a mysterious alien force. And there's the cinch, there's the thing, aliens or God? Maybe Kubrick was doing a 1960s Prometheus on us, and it was both all along. I don't know, you're never gonna know that. No answers here. Put on Star Wars. But why do the aliens intervene? What has happened in man's progress that elevates them to the next stage? I think it was how. Humanity made something so strong it dominated them. It conquered humanity. Their mechanical child overtook their own potential. Hal deserved to transcend, okay? Hal deserved to. I think I've got a lot of love for that big red eye.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Star Fox. But the Stargate ages him severely. Has he been in there for 50 years? Has the experience pruned him up like a big old bath? I'm not sure, but it has reverted him to a stage of infancy, just like the apes. Your mind has been expanded, and you feel that when watching the film. But most of all, I think it's very funny that the guy who transcended and became a demigod was called Dave. Dave! But here's something I noticed. Is Dave really the only one transcending? Or is Hal doing it too? There's a very specific line where he says, "I can feel it, Dave. My mind is growing." Whilst he's dying.
My mind is going.
Growing? Going? Hal, please speak up. An imperative plot point depends on that. Maybe, and this is a stretch, the sentient life that the AI was transpired just like Dave, as Hal was restored to factory settings. That's certainly a lot more interesting than an artificial mind not being able to comprehend it. Especially as, like said before, he was the most emotive human in the film. How is the ship? How is the stick? How is the tool? The main plot actually follows the exact same structure and events as the Dawn of Man. They mirror each other completely. And, my god, this is such an amazing film. The fact that we will never get answers to such good, compelling mysteries is part of the charm. Essentially, man at its dawn is the same as man at its peak. The essence of humankind, the essence of life, does not change. In some cases, the apes actually cope better than the humans. They react much better to the monolith than the future humans do. Whereas the apes, for as simple as they are, didn't actually invent a predator. A leopard is one thing. Humankind in the future invent their own new predator. I'm kinda going with the monkeys. Because suddenly that progression has been brought into question. I do admire Kubrick for not delving into anything more than basic plot details. But for Rolling Stones magazine, he actually has admitted that the main basis of the film for him is the search for God. But not an anthropomorphized God that we might know. This film is hard sci-fi, and it certainly doesn't subscribe to any sort of monotheistic religion, but it's still there. Religion and sci-fi don't tend to mix, for obvious reasons. And yet, at the very crux of this film is a theme of birth and rebirth. The film is littered with phallic imagery. See, there's a dick ship right there. There's a lot of womb symbols peppered throughout, and that's just fetus imagery. Take a look at everything that happens in and around the ship, and it accurately portrays possible penetration, birth, and death. I hate the distinction. I hate the idea that sci-fi and emotion have to be divorced from one another. 2001 is a very cold, sterile movie, but it's filled with humanity. 2001 remains the ultimate sci-fi film. It's a cinema masterpiece. In fact, it's more than that. It's a piece of our heritage, of our culture. And I hope that it will never, ever be cracked.